Things. Once again, I want to thank you for joining me in my sacred space. Today, I'll be working with the 8 million Gauze Oracle deck, and this is a Japanese Oracle deck. So, all of the information on the back, uh, the front, as well as the entire guidebook is in Japanese. So, for persons who are not familiar with reading or speaking Japanese, I'm going to show you how you can, in fact, use this deck if you happen to come across it as an English speaker. So, the first thing I'm going to point you to is the QR code at the very back. And I've pulled it up here on the website. So, I've scanned the QR code, and this is the site it brings me to. Just gonna zoom in a little closer. Yes. So this is the website that it'll bring you to. And as you can see, the entire website is in Japanese. So you just scroll to the bottom until you see this image here, which if you are familiar with the different deities in the deck, you realize that some of them are symbolized in this image. So this is the image the Japanese also matches what's written on the box, but just go by the image. Just trying to find the characters that match might be difficult. So you click this image here, and it brings you to this page where you can see all of the cards. Now, I have a video showing you the cards. They're red and blue cards for each. If you want to go and see the individual cards for this deck, just look for that flip through the video on my channel. But it shows you a picture of each card, and as I explained with that, there's a red and blue card, but the meaning for the different cards are just based on the images. And now we're going to try to get this. As you see, it's all in Japanese still, so we're going to try to get this to English. So to do so, firstly, you have to be doing this in Chrome browser. So you request that start site, and then you translate the page, and it should translate to English, 8 million gods encyclopedia, and then you'll see the Romanji, or at least the English alphabet for the names of each god. So now we're going to pause at this point here, and I'm going to switch back over to the deck. I'll take the cards out now, and I'll briefly shuffle to see which card will be studying tonight. And if you want, you can simply use intuitive reading for this deck. You don't have to use the online guidebook or encyclopedia, but I'm just showing you how to use it as an option in case you do have this deck and you want a bit more information about each god. So these cards are a bit bigger, so shuffling sometimes is a bit of an event. But I feel as if we're nearing this card here, and this is the card we'll be studying tonight. So we're going to flip that over, and here we have the blue card. And like I said, the cards are red and blue, but each character is represented both in red and in blue. So we're going to look for this image here in the red cards. So we're looking for this particular portrayal, and it doesn't seem to be on this page, so we'll go to the second page. Aha, so here it is here. So as you can see, this is the blue card, so the exact imagery is not the same, but it's very close to what is here on the red card, and we're going to click it. So as you notice, going from one page to the next, it goes back to Japanese. That's fine. You just go back to the top and you're going to click translate again. If your browser doesn't do it automatically, sometimes it does it automatically for you. So here we have it. There's a video, and the videos usually have subtitles. I'm not going to play the video for you tonight. You can do that on your own time. I'm just going to show you a bit of the write-up that you can read about this card. So we're reading of this card here, who this person is. This is the first Emperor Jimmu who abandoned me and lived publicly. So the thing about these translations are the translations are a bit wonky, right? They're not necessarily the most fluent of English, but you can get the gist of the story that it's trying to tell. So we have Kamiyamo Towari Hikonomiko, later Emperor Jimmu, born in Hyuga, Kushu, Miyazaki Prefecture, as the third or fourth son. And then we have his name again, who was born with a strong will, became a crown prince at the age of 15 and at the age of 45. He took his brothers to the eastern expedition. After that, he settled Yamato province and became the first Emperor Jimmu on February the 11th, 660 BC. This is National Foundation Day. He was 52 at the time. From his coronation to 2676 as of 2016, no country in the world is connected to myths and modern time. Japan is the longest running country in the world. In other words, Emperor Jimmu is said to be the founder of this country. Even if the name of the founder can be said, the number of people who can say the name of the second generation is extremely small, even in the existing famous companies. It is so great that it will be handled down to future generations. It has been about 1.8 million years since Ninigi descended to Tenson. The whole land had not been king yet. He arrives at Yusu Oita from Miyazaki Prefecture, stops at Okadagu in Fukuoka Prefecture for a year, and heads for Hiroshima, Hyogo, and Osaka. Upon arrival in Osaka by ship, Tomino Nagas Nebiko started an army and was waiting. The two fight, and Itsusu, the eldest son of Iwabiko, is injured by an arrow on his arm. Ituse said, "We, the sons of the sun, were not good at fighting for the sun. Let us go around and carry the sun on our backs and fight." However, Itsuse dies from the wound. After that, Iwabiko enters Kumano, but he gets sick and falls asleep. Also, the soldiers he followed fell asleep. Upon seeing this, Amaterasu told Takemikazuchi, "Our descendants are strongly on the ground. Because you were originally a country that you persuaded and handed over, you should go and help." Irabiko got up, and Kumano's army fell down on his own. After that, a three-legged crow appeared as a guide to Kumano, Yatagarasu. Yatagarasu is used as an emblem for the Japanese national football team. After that, Yamato is settled. Emperor Jimmu is said to be the person who was the best knowledge, his immeasurable courage, and has the ability to respect the lives of the people. From this, it means that this is not a martial art to kill people unnecessarily. Furthermore, when he was enthroned, he said, "I want to think of the world as a family and do what is right to spread my heart." He misunderstands that if he stands on a person, he will do what he says. This is dictatorship and ego. In other words, each person thinks that he or she is right, so do what you think is right. He wants to spread his right mind and protect his country. I want you to take a closer look at your surroundings and yourself. Are you imposing on others what you think is right? Also, can you accept what you don't think is right? This is called the ego. Isn't the emperor inflicting the people with his ego at the god of the treasure mirror of the three great gods? Reflect in the mirror, and if you have an ego, remove it. If Ga is removed from Kagami, it becomes Kami. The Japanese monarchs of Japan continue to keep this rule from 2676 as of 2016 to the 125th Emperor Naruhito. This is virtue and is the cornerstone of the longest lasting country in the world. In addition, Emperor Jimmu heads for Tosae with his three brothers. By the end, he becomes alone. The founder is so lonely, and only by overcoming that loneliness can he do great work. The loneliness at this time means throw away me and become public. The figure that has a sense of purpose and a strong will can be said to be the origin of the empire, who has been handed down to the present day in his 125th. We are protected by the emperor. Wataname, at the beginning, is a good time to start something. Take action towards your dreams. This card tells you that your intuition is reliable. It's also a good time to start something. It's time to broaden your horizons and reach your potential. There will be people who will support you. Work with your peers. The goodness of each is respected. It works well by removing the ego and respecting the other people. The important thing is not justice, but the heart. Rough soul solitude. We need the power to overcome loneliness. It is a time when deviation from the surroundings is likely to occur. You may feel lonely, have a strong sense of purpose, and stand up with your strong will. You have the strength to fight and overcome yourself. Let's push forward without stopping. Divinity, War God, Agriculture God, Sea God. Benefit, longevity, good luck, future, illness cure. Also known as Jimunu Inami Rebe Kome, and then his names, and then you have your genealogy and the shrine enshrined. So I've read everything for you straight as it appeared because I wanted you to just get a feel for all of the information. Now I'm going to explain how this reading or how what you read comes into context. So the first bit we read from this line here in orange right down before we got to the red is the story of Jimmu. All right. So Jimmu was an emperor in Japan, and it tells you this story of how he traveled, how he fought wars, how he stood up for his country, how his disposition led him to rule armies and whatnot. It also gives you a little bit of backstory about a part of Japan called Kumano, and their mascot or symbol, which is the three-legged crow, right? So it tells you all of his journeys, how when he arrived in Kumano, and also the upon seeing the god Amaterasu, he is the god, the goddess, the most high goddess in Japanese mythology, and it tells you of his more or less coming to path, what he encountered, and then the obstacles he faced with his ego versus if it were a strength. So showing that something can be a strength or something can be something that is holding us back. So the first part tells you the story of Jimmu, who's portrayed in the card. Now, like I mentioned, and if you've watched the video that shows the cards, you'll see that they're both blue and red cards. So the next part down here is if this were the red card, this would have been the meaning, and you would be following this information here. However, this is the blue card. So the blue card says we need power to overcome loneliness. It is a time when deviation from surroundings is likely to occur. You may feel lonely. So this card may be telling you that loneliness is approaching. Have a strong sense of purpose and stand up for your strong will. You have the strength to fight and overcome yourself. Let's push forward without stopping. So it's talking about having a strength of purpose, of having a sense of self that you can push onward through it all. And if you look at the image of him here, he looks rather alone. He has his sword, but there's a stillness to this card. There's a calmness. There's a solitude. He's alone in this card, and yet he's persevering because he still has his sword, right? And if you look very closely, you'll see there the bird there, the three-legged crow. So he has a companion. He's not alone. He's not by himself in this card, right? But there is a sense of loneliness, of loss, right? That he's struggling to overcome. And I will show you the image that we clicked on to get to this card to give you an idea of how different the red card looks. So this is what the red image of the card would have looked like. Much brighter, much more life to it, much more happiness to it. And look, the companion, the bird, is glowing. So look at the difference between that bird and this bird here. This bird is not glowing. There's a sense of loneliness, a sense of sadness almost in this card. Very melancholy vibes. Well, this is bright, and you can almost feel the wind and the clouds, and there's a sense of movement in this card, right? Versus this one where there is stillness, right? So as you know, with most tarot, you have reversals, you have upside or reverse meanings. With this deck, you actually get a mirror image of each card, a red and a blue border for each card, and the drawings are slightly different. They're of the same characters, but they're portrayed slightly different, and they're meant to be read either the blue meanings or the red meanings. And like I showed you, you can come to this site and you can see all the meanings for the different cards, and you can have your English meanings, the full stories of the gods, the emperors, the goddesses within Japanese mythology. And also, like I mentioned, there is a video that is also attached to it. So this reading was on Emperor Jimmu, And if you felt connected to this particular reading, maybe this is a time in your life that you're feeling particularly lonely, you're feeling a bit on your own, as if you need help, as if you need a companion, as if you would like life to be shone into your light. It's okay, push forward, continue to have a steady mindset, a strong mindset, and you can persevere and you can overcome this feeling. So that is today's reading with the 8 Million Gods Oracle deck. I hope that it was informative and you see how you can use a Japanese oracle deck for readings. Tell me what you thought of the reading. Tell me what you think of the deck and navigating the website. If you have any issues using the deck or navigating the website, let me know. I'm going to show the card back once again in case you happen to have the cards but you don't have the back, so therefore you don't have the QR code. This is the QR code that you will scan. So you just, sorry, I'm holding it upside down. So you just scan this QR code and it'll direct you to the website that I just showed you. And hopefully now this is one more deck that you can possibly add on your list. And what I love about this deck is it teaches you a lot about Japanese mythology. So you learn about the emperors, the gods, and a lot about Japanese culture. And I can tell you because I lived in Kumano at one point, and there were several key rings, mascots, and souvenirs showing the three-legged crow bird. So it is actually, the bird that was mentioned is actually very sacred and seen and very popular in the area Kumano that was mentioned. So really hope that this reading helped, and thank you once again for joining me in my sacred space. Remember, if you like my videos, be sure to like, follow, hit that notification button for more videos, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Blessings.